News 4 Tucson investigators have been looking into the murky cases of the men in charge of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives gunwalking scandal known as Operation Fast and Furious. Here's Steve Ryan with his findings in tonight's story.
In this federal courthouse in Tucson, 2 men from Mexico were sentenced for the murder of U.S. Border Patrol agent Brian Terry. But the News 4 Tucson investigators have learned that some men who allowed those defendants to get assault rifles faced a much lighter sentence, retirement with complete government pensions.
He was honest. He loved his country. He was a Marine, police officer, a board tech agent. He always did what was right. He loved life to the fullest. He never took anything for granted.
Michelle Terry Ballo lost her brother, U.S. Border Patrol agent Brian Terry, nearly 5 years ago. She's proud of his sacrifices, including the ultimate sacrifice, but she's still looking for justice.
We've had a lot of doors slammed in our faces. We've had a lot of people tell us different things, but we're the Terry family and we're not going anywhere.
The botched ATF gunwalking operation known as Fast and Furious was supposed to track weapons from a gun store in Glendale to the hands of Mexican drug cartels. But in one congressional hearing, Phoenix-based ATF agent Peter Frichelli described what really happened.
And what I've heard from agents and what I heard over the radio was that surveillances were terminated often far from the border. Some of these guns could have been diverted with cartel drugs to New York, to Baltimore, to Oklahoma, to anywhere in the United States. This was a catastrophic disaster.
Federal reports obtained by the News 4 Tucson investigators show the gun buyers spent $1.5 million on 2,000 weapons. The report notes that among those who created Fast and Furious, 2 men spearheaded it. ATF special agent in charge at the time, William Newell, and his second in command during Fast and Furious, George Gillette. Investigators wrote, Newell also bore ultimate responsibility for the failures in Operation Fast and Furious. And on his second in command, we found Gillette's supervision and judgment in Operation Fast and Furious seriously deficient.
The American people deserve answers. The Terry family deserves answers.
Bob Heyer, Agent Terry's cousin, and the rest of the family were stunned to hear of their retirement.
Just incredulous that these folks have continued on with their careers. They've been allowed to retire. They've been allowed to transfer.
Tony Colson was a drug enforcement administrator in Tucson during Fast and Furious and worked with Newell and Gillette.
Nothing really happened to them. George Gillette was allowed to retire with no impact on his retirement.
Bill Newell got an even sweeter deal.
And Bill Newell was demoted from a senior executive service to an intelligence analyst or grade 13 employee.
Colson estimates Newell stands to make $100,000 a year in annuities.
And that's a shame for someone who put guns out on the street, which became crime guns, which may have resulted in the murder of a U.S. agent.
The Terrys keep seeking answers in the case.
Brian lived by quotes, and he always said you never leave a man behind. And I just hope that we get justice so we don't leave him behind.
Ultimately, federal investigators found that there were 15 people responsible for Fast and Furious. We reached out to ATF for 3 weeks to press them about those retirement packages. Spokespeople answered our calls, but they wouldn't answer our questions. We'll continue pressing them about the remaining 13 people in those retirement packages. If you have something you'd like us to check out for you, just email us at investigators@kvoa.com, or you can call our tip line at 955-4444. Investigating for you, I'm Steve Ryan, News 4 Tucson.